Did you feel like you had to choose between being a biblical counselor or a psychotherapist, right? Because you have that label,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What would you say you do? Like, how would you, if you had to classify, like, well, what kind of counselor are
So,
you?
well, my degree's in Christian counseling.
Okay.
And so I just think there's a lot of different labels for counseling that maybe give people the wrong idea of maybe what kind of counseling they're receiving. So there's different modalities, there are different methods, different ways to counsel people. And one method may work for one person that doesn't work for another. And so it just basically having the insight of who you're working with, that's the way I like to do it, and understand, like, okay, I'm getting the feel for where this person is headed, what their worldview is, what their belief system is or isn't, and then that will help drive how I approach them.
Yeah.
So I just consider myself a counselor who's a Christian in our office. So people know that we are part of community church in our office, but you will not find scriptures on the wall or crosses. Everything's pretty neutral because about 40 to 45% of the people that come in for service have no church. They're unchurched. Either they've been disgruntled with church or they know nothing about faith. And so in some biblical counseling models do not know how to do that if someone's not a Christian. And we believe this is an opportunity, like the back door of the church, to connect with people and just help them find healing in what they need.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how you can teach them biblical models and ethics and beliefs that they don't realize are scriptural, like anxiety and how you think about things and how you capture your thoughts. So that's kind of what I like to do. Biblical counseling, I mean, it sounds bad to say, oh, you don't do biblical counseling, but biblical counseling is actually a certain model, primarily scripture, which is fine, but I think, what we know about science, what we know about the brain, what we know about what works, the empirical data, that you can use faith and what we know about the brain and what works with people and combine them together. So like the guideline or the phrase we use in our office pretty much is clinically effective but biblically sound. So we won't teach anything that goes against Scripture, but we weigh in on what's clinically effective and helpful for people. Does that help? Explain it?
It's a great way to explain it.
So,
Yeah, no, that's really good.
yeah.
The way I think about it is like, because I'm a psychotherapist. I don't identify as a biblical counselor or a Christian counselor, although I am Christian. It's like, I heard this in Bible school, and there was actually a big debate that opened up in my philosophy 101 class on this. And it's that the Bible is all truth, but not all truth is in the Bible. That was the discussion for debate amongst us undergrads. Is that a true statement? All truth is not in the Bible, but the Bible is all true. And the idea there is I could ask you what's the best taco shop in Columbus? And then you could say, oh, it's this place down the street. That's the truth. But that isn't in the Bible. There's not a Bible verse that says this is the best taco shop in Columbus. So it's okay, things can be true and not contained in that library of books that we call the Bible. And so that spreads out to all sorts of different things. There's lots of neuroscience. There's lots of even just theory around how people connect and how humans interact, what makes marriages thrive, what parenting techniques are going to be better than others that are true and aren't directly commented on in Scripture. And so if you're going to take the only truth claims I'm going to stick to are the ones within this, specific set of scriptures, I think that you're pretty contained, not even just you can't say a lot. It's I just don't even think you can be intellectually very honest about that. I think you will bring other stuff into it just for coherency. Even the fact that you're communicating it in English is a deviation from specifically yada yada. So anyway.
No, that's really good. And because I do vividly remember people talking about how you had to be one or the other. You can't mix, for lack of a better term, secular psychology with, or just psychology. Can't mix psychology with scripture. Like they're different starting points. It's a different, you mentioned there is a distinction that people make between biblical counselors and then counselors who are Christians. Like it just feels like a different thing, right?
That's right.
And so, and we have to ask the question too, what is the Bible trying to teach? Is the Bible trying to teach everything? No.
Right.
It's not. Like the authors had purposes and there were things they were trying to communicate,
Right.
So it's not unlikely for us to find, it's not weird for us to find truth outside of the Bible. And I don't mean that the Bible's not truth, to your point. So that it's a tough argument.
Yeah.
I can answer it pretty easily, and I think you guys can too, but I can see how people would want to fight over it, I guess, in Bible college, because that's what you do in Bible college, is
well,
you
I get it.
fight
And
over
I think
stuff.
what people sense is that there's a lot of philosophies in, I'm fine calling it secular psychology,
Okay.
that aren't biblical, that actually do run against the grain of what the Bible teaches.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of presuppositions snuck into the modalities, because the modalities are philosophical. I think that's actually one of the things I don't think folks are very upfront about when it comes to psychology or therapy, is we are dabbling in philosophy. That's why the sciences kind of look at psychology as kind of a soft science. Like when you look in the research institutions, if you're like a real scientist, psychology probably isn't the thing that piques your interest the most, because it's so contaminated, quote unquote, with subjective experience, philosophy,
Theory.
placebo, whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's really hard to get hard data out of psychology. It's doable, but you have to restrain so much. It's so easy for it to leak in.
Right. Yeah. Man, do you ever have people ask you about that? Is that like one of the first things how do people approach you when they're like, hey, what kind of counselor are you? What are they looking for? What do they want to know?
To be honest, not a lot of people ask that. I think people are, because there's such wait lists, they're just glad to get an appointment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sometimes. But it depends on why they're there. So if someone comes to me and they have a strong faith, then of course we go with it and run with that, and how to incorporate what they know in scripture, but also what can help them from maybe that they don't know.
Yeah.
If someone's not a believer, we have a different approach, but we don't go against scripture. I've met people that have been kind of damaged because of maybe some biblical counseling that really, in regards to marriage, a wife's relationship with her husband. I met somebody one time who their teen was in counseling to see someone because of bullying, and they walked away feeling horrible because it was a sin to not trust God, and on and on and on. So people bring in different mindsets. And then there's also people that I've met that did not get the right counsel from a secular counselor, that maybe it damaged them or kind of put them off track. I know counselors, so we had 752 people last year that requested counseling in our office. So we don't see them all. We refer out. And so we're pretty careful who we refer out to, but there's a couple people I know that I don't know if they're Christian or not, but I know they do really good, solid work that's not going to go against what we believe.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of knowing who you refer to, and just kind of knowing your system, and kind of hearing from the people, like where they're coming from.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think are the maybe top 2 or 3 reasons that people come to you specifically?
Anxiety is by far the biggest. In our office, at least, girls between 12 to young women under 30, anxiety is by far just the highest referral that we get. Depression, anxiety, marriage, those are the 3 big ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said depression.
Don't mean to smile.
No, depression, anxiety, and marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.